We're on.
Okay, we'll call our meeting to order. Be roll call. Present, Manager Waller.
Present.
Manager Wynant.
Here.
Manager Bradley.
Present.
Manager Wageman.
Present.
And Manager Priner present. Okay, we'll move to the setting of the agenda. Is there any changes on the agenda today?
President Priner, staff do have some changes. Patrick Hughes will lead you through those. They're largely about the consent agenda.
Okay, Patrick?
Yeah, President Priner, Board of Managers. The first one here is to remove permit application 20-084 from the consent agenda and to place it as a new item requiring board action, number 4, and then move the check register down to item number 5.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other one would be to remove permit application 20-113 from the consent agenda, just altogether. We're still working through some of the details for the local road program.
Patrick, can I ask you if they are aware that it's going to be?
I'm sorry, that kind of cut it out there. I didn't quite hear it.
Is Columbus aware that it's going to been removed today?
Yep, and the comment back was that, you know, if we get on the next meeting, that's still fine.
Fine.
We're all in agreement of it meeting the program. It's just some of the finer details that are getting worked out at this point.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? If not, I'll have a motion, please.
Madam President, I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as amended. Any further comments? Not, we'll do a roll call. Manager Waller?
Yes.
Manager Wynant?
Yes.
Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wageman?
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Okay, so we'll move on to the approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move approval of the February 8th, 2021 workshop.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote. Manager Waller?
Yes.
Manager Wynant?
Yes.
Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wageman?
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, I move the approval of the February 10th, 2021 regular meeting of the Rice Creek Watershed District.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second to accept the minutes of the February 10th regular meeting. Any further discussion? Now we'll call the vote. Manager Waller?
Yes.
Manager Wynant?
Yes.
Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wageman?
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Okay, we'll go ahead and recess. The regular board meeting is now recessed and the public hearing is open on the Rice Creek Watershed District's proposed selection of projects for funding through the district's stormwater management grant program. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13D-021, meetings of the Board of Managers are currently being convened remotely by video teleconference. In accordance with state law, notice of this hearing was published for 2 successive weeks in the St. Paul Pioneer Press and mailed to all cities and within the Watershed District, as well as the district's 4 counties. The notice provided instructions on how to participate in today's hearing. I ask that those of you in attendance remotely mute your microphones until it is your turn to speak. The purpose of the hearing is to receive comments from the public on the projects that the board is considering for cost share assistance in the cities of Fridley, Hugo, New Brighton, White Bear Lake, and White Bear Township. Before the Watershed District can provide funds for the capital work of these applicants, state law requires that the Board of Managers hold a public hearing, receive public comments, and make a judgment that each selected project is a sound and cost-effective project to help fulfill our water resource goals. First, I'd like Kyle Axtell, District Project Manager, to give a brief presentation of the proposed projects. When his remarks are completed, the floor will be open for any members of the public who wish to address the board. At that time, if a member of the public wishes to comment, please ask to be recognized, address the board when I recognize you. Speak clearly and state your name and address for the record. If you have a written copy of your statement or any other documents that you'd like to submit, please inform the board. District staff will provide directions on how to submit materials for the record. During public comment, managers are welcome to ask questions of commenters to clarify their remarks. I also may ask Mr. Axtell or representatives of project applicants to respond to any technical questions raised. Managers will hold their own comments until the project and the hearing is closed. At that time, the board will have the opportunity to discuss the projects. Kyle, would you like to go ahead?
All right, thank you, President Priner. First, I'd like to make sure that everyone can hear me and can see the slide on the screen.
Yeah.
We all set to go?
Yep.
Yep.
We're ready.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, we'll get started here. Again, we'll briefly run through a presentation I have for the public hearing. We'll start out with just a brief refresher for those viewing and for the board on the goals of our stormwater management grant program. I will review some of the basic guidelines of the program, and then we'll dive into the application summaries and next steps. So first, again, this stormwater management grant program was established by the board to encourage local government units and others within the district to explore stormwater quality and quantity retrofit opportunities and incorporate those opportunities into development and infrastructure projects. It exists to foster closer collaboration between partners and the district on stormwater quality and quantity improvement efforts, to foster stormwater management innovation and create demonstration and education examples, and also then to defray local costs in the broader watershed-wide interest of improving water quality and decreasing flood damage risk. So for this year, this program year, applications were due on December 31st, 2020. In our budget for 2021, the district board made a total of $300,000 available for project cost sharing. The program has a maximum of $100,000 in cost share per project, although stormwater reuse irrigation projects may be able to exceed that maximum if they're large enough. Those projects are eligible for up to $10,000 per acre irrigated, which, again, depending on the size of the project, could exceed $100,000. And the program does require a 50% match funding. We had 5 applications received this year requesting a total of $267,500, although the City of New Brighton did withdraw its application on February 17th. So there will be 4 applications that I will review today. We're just going through these in alphabetical order by applicant, so no preference. But for the City of Fridley, they proposed their University Service Road Diets project, and this involves 2 different sections of frontage road, if you will, along University Avenue. And on the east side of University, between 67th and 68th Avenue, the project would reduce approximately a 1/4 acre of impervious surface by eliminating kind of a connecting frontage road and replacing that with native plantings, trees, and a shared use path. On the west side of University between 67th and Rice Creek Terrace, so this is a little bit larger area, both are just south of Rice Creek. A 2-lane frontage road would be converted to a 1-way street, again with a shared use path, and there is space there for construction of a large infiltration basin. The project would provide benefits to Lower Rice Creek and also then Lock Lake downstream. The eligible project cost is estimated at $100,000, and the city has requested $50,000. And you can see the water quality and flood control benefits on the screen there. This is some map and figures showing the eastern half of the project, where 67th and 66th Avenues would be turned into small turnarounds, and the path would be connected to the north and south. And then on the west side of the road, west side of University Avenue, between Rice Creek Terrace and 67th Avenue would be converted to a 1-way street, as connectability for the neighborhood there is still required. And the large infiltration basin, I believe, would be placed off the north end, intercepting runoff before it went down to Rice Creek. Second project, City of Hugo. This is a phase 2 expansion of the city's County Road 8 stormwater reuse project. The district has previously provided funds to what is now the first phase of this project. And this would add 15 acres of irrigated area to the original concept, increasing groundwater conservation by approximately 10 million gallons annually. The expansion would include areas around Hugo City Hall, Lions Park, Finale Avenue, and 147th Street. Benefits would be in the form of flood control and water quality as shown on the screen to Anoka Washington JD3 or Clearwater Creek and Peltier Lake downstream. And the eligible project cost for the expansion is $184,000, and the cost share request by the city is $76,000. And here is a figure the city has put together that shows both phases of the project. This was a larger, or became a larger effort when the city elected to pursue Bowser Clean Water Fund, Bowser Clean Water Fund grant for the larger project, incorporating the phase 2. And I'll touch on the funding breakdown in a moment. But you can see there's the pump station, which was part of the original phase 1, which is on this large pond on a branch of Anoka Washington Judicial Ditch 3, would feed this entire corridor in phase 1 along County Road 8, and then phase 2 brings everything up into this northern and eastern area of the project. In total, there's 21 acres of irrigated area. The total funding breakdown, Hugo, congratulations, was successful in receiving their Bowser grant, $392,400. The Metropolitan Council has previously awarded $50,000 to this project as well. And again, if funded, when added to our previous $100,000 cost share, Rice Creek's total share of cost would be $176,000, and the city of Hugo has $110,000 and change in its own match funds for a total project cost of $729,000. Third project, City of White Bear Lake. This is probably the smallest project we've had come through this program, but in Matoska Park, the city is planning a mill and overlay, kind of a refresh of the boat launch parking lot at Matoska Park. There is not room for a larger treatment BMP. Runoff from the 1 acre parking lot currently drains directly to White Bear Lake without treatment. And they are proposing the installation of 2 Rain Guardian turret pre-treatment chambers that would capture sediment and debris through a filtration system there before it runs into the lake. Due to the high water table and the layout of the site in this area of the park, there are really no other opportunities to install larger or more effective BMPs. You can see the water quality benefits on the screen. There are no flood control benefits with this project. The eligible project cost is $8,000 and the city has requested $4,000. Here's a layout again of the park, and the 2 blue dots on the south end of the parking lot there are where those turrets would be located, currently at existing curb cut discharges to the lake. And an example of the turret is on the right-hand side of the screen. I will note that that is a product that was developed by the Anoka Conservation District, and it's a great practice. We've seen those installed all over the metro area now as effective pre-treatment devices. White Bear Township, they are proposing a shoreline sanitary sewer protection project on White Bear Lake. Erosion over the previous decades has led to a situation where there is a sanitary sewer manhole exposed on the shore of White Bear Lake. There's a large concern about potential ice damage and heaving, and what would happen if that manhole were to be dislodged. The project proposes reclamation of some lost upland area around that manhole, as well as installation of 35 linear feet of steel sheet pile to provide protection to that manhole from damage from waves and ice. I will note, and I'll bring a map up shortly, there are approximately 70 homes and 1 church that all have their sanitary sewer discharged through this manhole. It is the, if you will say, the bottom or the lowest manhole on this system of sanitary sewer, right prior to a lift station that pumps the material up the hill away from the lake. So it is there is some large concern about what would happen if a failure occurred at this location. The township has estimated the project cost at $75,000 and has requested $37,500. It is difficult to estimate what the water quality benefits of the project are, as it really is limited to that risk reduction of a future sanitary sewer break on the shore of the lake. So here we have a picture provided by the township of that manhole in its current form. And then on the left-hand side of the screen, a map of the sanitary sewer network. And I've added this blue outline, which shows the properties that all drain to this manhole, which again is manhole number 2 here, right before the lift station pumps it up the hill. So just for reference. So next steps, again, we'll see if there's any public comment on these projects, but ultimately later in the meeting, the regular meeting, the district board will be asked to take action, recommending projects for approval. And there's a draft resolution in your packet that we will get to later in the meeting. And I will at that time discuss the scoring and the reviews of the projects by staff, our citizen advisory committee, and the district engineer. That's all I have for the public hearing.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions from the board? Not the discussion part, but any questions for Kyle before we proceed?
Madam President.
Yes.
Good morning, Kyle. I had a question. Could you add some context to the withdrawal for New Brighton? And in number 2, I'd point out to you that the situation with White Bear Lake and the sewer, we were trying to make certain that we don't have another lost lake situation. I think that's very important. In the past, when the prevention wasn't taken, that resulted in a huge dump in that, and we haven't been able to take care of that situation yet, and by that I mean the government told. So those 2 things.
Sure. So regarding New Brighton's application, there were some issues with the application, and I'll say that it did not score very well in our review process. It involved a pond expansion, stormwater pond expansion at Grace Point Church at the corner of Silver Lake Road and Rice Creek Road. After review with the advisory committee, there was a request for more information to be provided, and staff did provide New Brighton an opportunity to revise their application, provide additional materials to support their request. And after further discussion internally at the city, the idea was floated that they might withdraw their application with the hopes of working with Rice Creek staff this year to prepare maybe a revised project with stronger application in the future. And so on February, I believe 17th, the city did indicate its intent to withdraw the application for now. And again, staff intends to work with the city to prepare something there.
Okay. All right. With that, we're going to move on to the public. Is there anybody in the public who would like to speak? Please come forward, name and address for the board, please.
Okay.
Any comments from the public?
This is 2.7 Sunny right now.
I'm hearing somebody's microphone is on out there and they're speaking. Any comments? Okay, being there no testimony from the public, I close the public hearing and open the matter for board discussion and action during our regular meeting. So now I'm going to go back to our regular meeting and open that back up to our consent agenda.
President Preiner, yes, I will have comments on 2 of the applications here on the consent agenda. I will share my screen here for the first one. This is for permit application 20-097. Let's see. Sorry, wrong one there.
Managers, ER Engineers Report 20-97 that Patrick's going to address is found on page 35 of your packet, if you'd like to
Yep.
take notes at all.
Thanks, Nick. So is everyone seeing it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, great. So what was included in the packet was an older version of the ER. So this here is the version that went through legal and should have been included in the packet. So I just want to go over a few of the changes that we'd have here. So let's see, the first one is under compliance item number 15 for the declaration of maintenance of stormwater management facilities, including this language for as listed in the table below. Next. In the findings for the wetlands section, section number 3, at the end of that paragraph there, the applicant has addressed all comments through a responsive memo and meeting. And we want to clarify that, and the TEP is satisfied with the response. So addressing the wetland replacement plan comments there. Next is under section 4 for the floodplain. We would like to strike the language here. Floodplain mitigation storage has been provided via and crossing a lowered wetland, the new pipes, and then clarifying the language to be 3 dedicated underground floodplain mitigation systems, the new pipes, and a portion of existing wetland E, which will be preserved. So a little further detail on how they are meeting that portion of the rule. Under section 6 for bridges, culvert crossing, and drainage system, clarifying that by extending the existing culverts, which have sufficient capacity, the project does not reduce the existing navigational capacity of the public drainage system. And then also for that public drainage system, 2 sentences down, the C10B requirement is met via a proposed 76-foot wide drainage easement. And in the last sentence, clarifying that it's not just complying with district rule, it's district rules G and I think, oh, and there's one more further, sorry about that. Under section 8 for documenting easements and maintenance obligations, we want to just make that clear that the maintenance declaration of stormwater does include the underground floodplain systems. It is a dual purpose for those systems. And that's all of the changes for 2097, if anyone has questions.
Any questions for Patrick on the changes? Okay.
And then the other application I just wanted to note is 21-002. So that would be on page 59 of the packet. This is for the Shoreview Commons Phase 2 Improvements Project. So on page 59 in the description, we do note that the project is within Rice Creek's legal boundary, but it does drain into Ramsey, Washington Metro Watershed District. So the second to last sentence in the description section does say that, we contacted Ramsey, Washington Metro Watershed District and had not yet received a formal response. Since the packet was put together, we have received the response. They have reviewed and have no concerns with the design and approval.
So Madam Chair, I do have a question for Patrick. And
Go ahead.
20097. So we've already dealt with the drainage system change. So we now have a permit from the developer. And then we also talked about having something with the owner. Weren't there going to be 2 items that we were going to see?
Manager Wynant, yes. So if I can, so yeah, previously we went through the 103E petition process. That was to identify that a portion of the drainage system would be placed into a pipe, 2 pipes, I suppose. And so, yeah, then this is the permit application for the actual development of the site. So this is the construction of the buildings, the parking lots, those sorts of things. And so I wonder if what you're thinking of is maybe some of the conditions of the application when we're talking about obtaining maintenance agreements and easements over facilities, the drainage system, those sorts of items.
Right, and is that included in this permit application?
That is correct. There'll be conditional items that will need to be addressed before the permit can be issued.
Okay, so that's where the owner of the property gets connected to this issue, to this action.
Correct. Yep,
All
they
right.
will be, a number of those items will be recorded on the property title.
On the title. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? If not, I'll have a motion for the consent agenda today with corrections.
Madam President, I would move that we caprock items 18-045, 20-097, 20-119, and 21-002 in accordance with the Rice Creek District Engineer's findings and recommendations dated February 12, 16, 17, and as amended today, 2021.
Second,
Okay, we have a second, but I have a question before we go further. The ones that say approve, shouldn't we just be doing the consent agenda as, because 2 of them say approved already and some say caprock. I want to make sure that doesn't get a conflict in there.
I amend my motion to approve the consent agenda for the items I listed
Okay,
in accordance with the findings and recommendations on the dates I listed. If that's
Second.
adequate for you.
second, okay, we have a
and
motion.
and that includes the corrections that we made on the other ones, just to be sure.
Yes, that's why I added the date 24.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, Manager Waller,
Yes,
Manager Wynant,
Yes,
Manager Bradley,
Yes.
Manager Wagaman,
Yes.
and Manager Priner, yes, motion passes. Okay, at this point, we have open mic. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on not on anything that's on our agenda, but on anything different than that? Anybody in the audience that'd like to speak today? Anybody? Hearing none, we're going to go to items requiring board action. Kyle?
Okay. Madam President, members of the board, I'll share my screen with you again. Give me just a moment. All right, so we're going to carry on from our public hearing and move into the funding recommendations that are being presented to the board after review by staff, our citizen advisory committee, and the district engineer. I will note, I just now am finding an error on page 66 of your packet on the second page of my memo. The total amounts requested and offered in that table are apparently carryovers from last year. I forgot to update those numbers. Again, the total amount requested this year was $267,500, ultimately reduced to $167,500 after New Brighton withdrew. And again, the total funding recommendations, not to spoil or anything, is to offer $167,500. Scoring again here, I'll just jump into that. Was pretty consistent among the 3 review groups, staff, the engineer, and the CAC. I will note we did have a very robust discussion with the CAC at its February 3rd meeting. I believe it was on the 3rd of February. You know, projects were received very well for the most part. There were, again, some concerns and discussion that more revolved around the White Bear Township project, and then New Brighton's project, again, which I mentioned earlier, was withdrawn after that time. And the main discussion with the township just revolved around the fact that it is kind of a unique project, you know, recognizing the issues there, but that it wasn't really a typical stormwater improvement project. And so, we did, again, discuss that at great length, but the CAC did ultimately recommend approval of all the projects, actually, at that meeting. So the funding recommendations are, again, as shown on your screen here, with Hugo, White Bear Lake, Fridley, and White Bear Township all being recommended for approval at the amounts requested. And again, staff will make a point to work with New Brighton on their project over the coming year to see if there's something that can be done there that maybe makes a little more sense. Anyway, at this point, again, staff, based on everything we've gone through, recommends approval of resolution 2021-02, which is in your packet. That would award stormwater management grant funding as presented here, and would order not 4 selected projects in accordance with Minnesota Statutes 103B 251.
I'll entertain a motion. Page 68 of our packet. Or 67, 68, I'm sorry.
So, Madam President Bradley, I would move resolution 2021-02, the ordering 2021 stormwater management grant projects pursuant to Minnesota statutes 103B.251, and more particularly, that the limited district's contribution to each project is as follows: City of Fridley, University Service Road Diets, $50,000. City of Hugo, CSAHA, Stormwater Reuse Phase 2 Expansion, $76,000. City of White Bear Lake, Mataska Park Parking Lot Rehabilitation, $4,000. And White Bear Township, White Bear Lake Sanitary Sewer Project, $37,500.
Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further-
Madam Chair,
Go
I have a comment, and this goes along with what my colleague John had said. Even though the scoring for that White Bear Township is not as high, the risk reduction investment is, impossible to really, but for this, what would we have to spend? And so I guess that's just a comment. In general, we need to be watching for items that are out, for issues that are out there that prevent water degradation also as they come before us. So I wholeheartedly support that one.
Okay, anybody else? We have a motion and a second.
Madam President, I just want to join my other two managers in support of this. I was going to ask Kyle if the reason staff scored it so low was because it's not traditional. I think the value risk avoidance overcomes that concern, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Madam President, if I may respond to Manager Bradley, absolutely. Staff absolutely recognizes the value of the project proposed by the township, and it scored low because of the non-traditional aspects of it. I don't think staff would have been in a position to recommend funding against funding that project, probably under any scenario. So.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Anyone else? With that, we're ready for a motion. Manager Waller.
A vote yes. Yay.
Manager Winans.
Yes.
Manager Bradley.
Yes.
Manager Wageman.
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Thank you for the good work, Kyle. Okay, now we're going to recess our meeting again and reconvene as the Drainage Authority for Rice Creek Watershed District. And we'll go into discussion for the application, I believe, Nick. No, I'm sorry, Kyle again. That's for the
Madam
transfer
President.
of the ditch, yeah.
Yeah, Madam President, next on your agenda is consideration of a findings and order that would effectively transfer Water Management Authority over portions of Ramsey County Ditch 4 to the city of Roseville. So we're continuing the public hearing from previous meeting. I will note that since that time we had left the public comment period open through February 17th for written comments. No additional comments were received on that matter. So with that, I might turn it over to Council John Kolb to describe that findings in order and what it entails for you.
Thank you. Mr.
Madam
Cole?
President, members of the board, this is found beginning on page 121 of your, 122 of your packet, I'm sorry. Following the public hearing and the receipt of public comment related to the petition of the city of Roseville for transfer of portions of Ramsey County Ditch 4 to the city for future management, the board recessed or continued the hearing to today's date for the purpose of allowing and directing me to prepare findings and an order consistent with the proceedings that affected the transfer as allowed by statutes section 103E.812. There should be no surprises in this order. There is a recitation at the beginning of the order of the facts upon which the board is taking action. The investigation that occurred, it related to the proposed action, including the engineering study and some conclusions drawn by the engineer and presented to the board related to the city's capacity and ability to manage these portions of the city as municipal stormwater. Probably most notable is in the order section on page 123 of your packet. It, in paragraph 3, talks specifically about the city's obligation to maintain the efficiency of the transferred portions of the ditch of at least equal hydraulic capacity or efficiency as that of the originally constructed system. This is a requirement of the statute, and it ensures that those parties that utilize these portions of County Ditch 4 as an outlet for drainage are not compromised in any way should the city, under its other authorities, choose to modify, change, or realign the system in any way. Unless there's any questions of the board, it is staff's recommendation to adopt the resolution 2021-03 as presented.
I do have one question, Mr. Cole. On number 3 that you just talked about, the efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Can we set a standard for that? It says remains obligated to maintain the efficiency. What efficiency? Where efficiency? Who efficiency?
The hydraulic efficiency was set forth in the engineering report that's related to this, and so that is all, and that's all in the possession of the city. So again, this order just is intended to recap it and affirmatively place the city on notice of this obligation. So the data is in existence. It is part of the proceedings here, and we could, I suppose, detail it out if the board chose to, but I think it is well represented and detailed in the proceedings already. I will note also that we are in the process right now of assembling all of the property interests, easements, or otherwise that the district as drainage authority may have over these portions of Ramsey County Ditch 4 in order to allow the city and assist the city in making sure that they are properly designated as the successor to those interests for the purposes of this transfer.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's no question about.
John, another question. Once this occurs, is the city still under state statute 103E, or is this?
Madam President, Manager Wynett, in part yes, and in part no. The city, because it has general water management and stormwater management authority under other law, they are allowed to manage this system in a way that's consistent with those other authorities. So they don't have to follow, for example, the provisions of statutes, chapter 103E related to repairs, maintenance, or improvements. They are allowed to follow those other authorities that they have. However, all of the regulatory exemptions that go along with the status of these alignments as former parts of a public drainage system under 103E carry forward. So certain exemptions to the Wetland Conservation Act and other public waters exemptions would apply to anything the city did here that would otherwise be exempt or exempted were it done by a drainage authority under 103E.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I offer the following resolution 2021-3 for approval. I move approval under the orders of number 1, the petition of the city of Roseville to transfer the portion of the main trunk of Ramsey County Ditch 4 south of Terrace Drive and the entirety of lateral 1 Ramsey County Ditch 4 to the city as Water Management Authority is granted. 2, the cost of the proceedings to be paid pursuant to the city's cooperative agreement with the district. Number 3, pursuant to the statute section of 103E 812 subdivision 7, the city remains obligated to maintain the efficiency of the transferred portion of Ramsey County Ditch 4 of at least equal hydraulic efficiency as that of the originally constructed drainage system. The city may manage water within its jurisdictional boundaries according to whatever law authorized its activities as a water management authority. The transferred portion's drainage system shall become a work and a responsibility of the city. Number 5, staff is directed to coordinate with the city for the duplication and transmission of any necessary records and to identify rights of way, easements, or other accoutrements. Gotta Google that one. To the transferred portion of the drainage system to which the city as transferee Water Management Authority is successor by virtue of the transfer herein.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Madam President, I support this transfer today, but I want to reiterate, as I did at the public hearing, that there's a need for some kind of reciprocity issues here to be resolved. And as Manager Bradley said at the public hearing, it's an item for future discussion, but I just wanted to make sure it was in the record today that we're going to look forward to working on that situation.
Okay, anyone else? Further discussion? We'll call the
Madam
vote.
President, at the time we have that future discussion, I will be pointing out that we paid 10 years of repairs for ditch 1. I opposed. Number 2, that but for the lower cost of maintenance to us going forward, we would not have approved this project as being in the public interest.
Okay.
I look forward to the discussion.
To be continued.
Madam President, I'm glad to hear that Manager Bradley has his opinions voiced early, but I'm not certain that would be the outcome of the board's decisions yet.
Okay.
But that's to be in the future.
We're going to call a vote here. We're ready to do the vote. Manager Waller.
Yes.
Manager Winan.
Yes.
Manager Bradley.
Yes.
Manager Wageman.
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Okay, so we're closing that meeting and we're going to go back to our regular meeting. And that'll be number 3, City of Roseville permit application. We had to do the vote first to get to the application.
Correct. President Priner, Board of Managers. Yes, so this is the permit application for the installation of pipe in RCD4 from County Road C to Terrace Drive. Order of the agenda, now that the transfer has been approved, the conditions of the ER here are appropriate.
Okay, so all we need is a motion to approve 21-007, City of Roseville. Somebody?
I think Marcy made that.
I'll make a motion to approve this RCD 4 pipe installation project 21-007.
Okay, second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the vote. Manager Waller.
Yes.
Manager Winan.
Yes.
Manager Bradley.
Yes.
Manager Wageman.
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Check register.
Before we go on, congratulations, Kyle. This has been one step after another, hasn't it? So.
Thank you. It is good just good to get this down the road. I know the city's looking forward to getting underway with construction out there, so.
Madam President, I move.
President Priner,
Yes,
we do have the additional new item
that's
4
right.
that was moved before we get to the check register. That
Oh.
was permit application 20-084.
thank you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, President Priner, Board of Managers. Yes, so this is permit application 20-084. It's for the development of a Raising Cane's restaurant in one of the out parcels of Rosedale Mall. I would like to point out on page 31 of the packet, this would be under section 7, documenting easements and maintenance obligations. I don't know if folks are going there. I'll give you a second. The second paragraph here, it does have language. RCD4 runs below the parcel. However, this segment will be transferred to the city of Roseville. Now that has occurred, we would recommend switching that language to has been transferred to the city of Roseville.
Okay.
And just, I guess, additionally, so part of the reason that this, shifted to later in the meeting was for the easement requirements over the public drainage system. So now that is, the responsibility of the city. I've discussed with the city on the approach here of the permit application, and we're all on the same page for that.
Right, I love the step-by-step process that we go through here. Madam Chair, I would move approval of permit number 20-084, Raising Cane, Roseville.
Need a second? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not, we'll call for the vote. Manager Wallace.
Yes.
Manager Winant.
Yes.
Manager Bradley.
Yes.
Manager Wageman.
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Thank you for catching that, Nick.
Madam Chair, based on this permit, there are two things. One is serving on this board really allows us to see how development occurs and how economic conditions change and people and businesses' response to those. As you look at this map, what's happening is there's development in the former parking lot areas of the shopping mall. And how has COVID impacted that? Are people not going into shopping malls? What are we going to see more and more parking lots being converted into businesses, etc. So it's interesting to watch how things are happening here.
Madam President, if I'm not mistaken, that's the site of the old TGIF restaurant. So it's one restaurant replacing an old restaurant.
Yeah.
You're right.
And then there's another brand new restaurant. So if they've replaced it, there are now 2 new restaurants. You just wonder about the economics of all this. But
That's why I don't own restaurant stock.
You and me both.
That's why 30 years in a restaurant was enough for me. Okay.
Yeah.
We're back to
thank you for indulging me here. Okay.
No problem.
Madam President, I move to approve the check register dated February 24th, 2021 in the amount of $278,175.67 prepared by Redpath and Company.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion on the check register? Not going to call the vote. Manager Waller?
Yes.
Manager Winant?
Yes.
Manager Bradley?
Yes.
Manager Wageman?
Yes.
And Manager Priner, yes. Motion passes. Okay, staff reports. Page 159. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Well, of course, we just have to ask how things are going now, almost a year later. It doesn't seem like staff has hit any speed bumps at all when you look at all the activities that they continue to do remotely.
President Preiner?
Go ahead.
Board of Managers, yes, staff is plenty busy. It's certainly not business as usual, but rather business is being completed. And I think all have adapted relatively well to virtual meetings and the social distancing and so on.
Have we hit any hiccups with our applicants? Do they have any problem with this?
President Preiner, Board of Managers, I would say no. That we can, what used to be, maybe a conference phone call or a meeting in person, folks have shifted to virtual meetings to have any pre-application type of work. It functions quite well, and I don't know that one should be surprised, but we had the technology in hand and just didn't have the nudge to put it to use. We are obviously social beings, so I imagine we will resume gathering together as soon as possible and likely have a combination of the two into the future.
Yeah, I was thinking they could request it one way or the other when we actually get to that point, if they feel more comfortable coming in or just staying online.
Certainly, and periodically we do see applicants that are out of city, if not out of state, and it does provide some easing of those situations.
Anybody else? Okay, just a question. Next thing we have is our March calendar. Any questions on that? Comments? None? Everybody knows where we're supposed to be this month. And administrator updates.
Yes, President Preiner, Board of Managers. I recall the City of Circle Pines appeal and the amicus court proceedings, I'll say. I look to Lewis maybe to share with you the landscape of that. We know that MAUD had issued to the courts its intent to join the amicus proceedings, and an update on where that's at and what that landscape looks like as it progresses.
Thank you, Madam President, Managers. You will recall this is a case that's now in the Minnesota Court of Appeals concerning the appointment process to this board. And the City of Circle Pines had submitted a list. Anoka County chose to reappoint Manager Preiner. And so the question is now before the Court of Appeals on the degree to which the county as an appointing authority needs to consider a list submitted by a municipality. The Minnesota Association of Watershed Districts sought leave of the court to file an amicus or friend of the court brief. That was granted. The case is in the middle of briefing right now. I think all the briefs will be exchanged and submitted by mid-March. At that point, the court decides about oral argument. I would expect that there will be oral argument of the case. Generally, the amicus parties don't participate in that oral argument unless there's a special request. Once the case is argued and submitted, it is then, by statute, needs to be decided within 90 days, unless the Court of Appeals asks the Supreme Court for permission for an extension. So my prediction would be that there will be a decision in the case sometime in the fall. Again, our role, just so you all remember, is not representing Rice Creek in the matter, but on behalf of the Minnesota Association of Watershed Districts.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Lewis, did Hugo and Mounds View formally join with Circle Pines?
Madam President, Manager Winan, both Mounds View and Hugo also got status to file friend of the court briefs. and they have been filed, and I would say the Mounds View brief clearly aligns with the point of view of Circle Pines, and the Hugo one is maybe subject to more interpretation. I'd be happy to make those briefs available to anyone who would like to see them.
Well, I'm not doing a whole lot these days, so no rush. Louis, I would be happy to read them for my edification,
Just
Okay.
send them over for everybody.
including the one from Maud, of course.
Yes.
All right. Why don't I wait till they're all submitted, and then as a package, Nick can make them available to you all.
That'd be great.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Louis.
Very good.
Anyone else, anything else, Administrator?
Yes, President Priner, Board of Managers, just to note, today is the district's city-county partner meeting. That is at 1 p.m. I do see that an invite has been sent to each of you for that video link. It is a virtual meeting, so we hope to see you then if you'd like to join us.
Thank
I
you.
have nothing else.
All right, manager's update. Manager Waller,
Nothing.
Manager Wynant,
I have nothing.
Manager Bradley,
Just that I get my first shot tomorrow. I'm pretty happy about that. Get my second shot a month later.
oh, nice.
That's a step towards us being able to do this in person eventually.
Yeah, I'm deciding if I should wait for the one that's only one shot.
Don't wait.
Don't wait, okay.
The first shot gives you like 80% protection, so
85, yeah.
85%.
Very
The
good.
second one just boosts it a little bit, so don't wait.
Yeah.
I'm,
And
I'm just parroting.
I get
false-
my second one today, this
All right.
afternoon. Actually, I have to leave the other meeting a little bit early because I have to get down there to get my second shot. So I'll
Okay,
be
you
done
guys-
today.
If you keep this up, I'm going to have vaccine envy.
I know, just got, I found mine in Thrifty White in Forest Lake.
Oh, really? Oh, geez.
Yep.
Oh, that's not bad.
Not bad at all. So Thrifty White is
No.
a pharmacy. If you don't know, they have a website, very user friendly. They get doses every week, and they distribute from Forest Lake up to Duluth and rural areas. So if you aren't
Wow.
looking constantly, you won't find it.
Obviously, the problem is the managers Priner and Wynant are too young. So they'll,
There you go. Hey, I like your.
There, that's what it is. Yep.
Well, you just wonder. Any other updates, Manager Wagaman?
Nope, I'm
See, now
good,
I
thank
age
you.
envy.
And I have nothing new either, so I guess we can ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
A second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Comment? Okay, Manager Waller,
Yes.
Manager Wynant,
Yes.
Manager Bradley,
Yes.
Manager Wagaman,
Yes.
and Manager Priner, yes. All right, we'll see everybody at 1.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah.